Picture this as a quiet morning. You wake up in a peaceful home where every corner reflects your choices, your memories, and your personality. There's no rush, no chaos, just the calm rhythm of a life lived on your terms. For many people, the idea of living alone in old age feels scary. It's often associated with loneliness or being forgotten. But what if I told you that living alone could be one of the most liberating and fulfilling experiences of your life? You see, the Stoics believed that solitude isn't something to fear. It's a chance to grow stronger, wiser, and more connected with what truly matters. They taught us that true peace doesn't come from the company of others. It comes from within. In this video, we're going to explore the benefits of living alone in old age through the lens of Stoic philosophy. We'll uncover why solitude can lead to freedom, personal growth, and even happiness. So, if you're someone who's ever worried about growing old alone or wondered what that phase of life might look like, stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll see solitude not as a problem, but as an opportunity. And hey, if this resonates with you so far, take a second to hit that like button and subscribe. Let's dive into this journey together. Number 1. The fear of being alone. Let's take a moment to acknowledge something that's hard to admit. Many of us are afraid of being alone, especially as we get older. It's not just the physical reality of being by ourselves. It's the emotional weight that comes with it. The thought of an empty house, quiet nights, or holidays without a full table. It can feel overwhelming, even sad. But what if I told you this fear isn't entirely real? It's something we've built up in our minds. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." What he meant is that it's not the act of being alone that frightens us. It's the stories we tell ourselves about it. Think about it. Society constantly paints a negative picture of solitude. You hear phrases like, "You'll end up lonely," or "No one wants to grow old alone." These ideas stick with us, making us believe that solitude is something to avoid at all costs. But here's the truth. Living alone and being lonely are two very different things. When you live alone, you have space to breathe, to think, and to reconnect with yourself. But when you feel lonely, it's often because you're disconnected not from other people but from your own sense of purpose. And this is where Stoicism comes in to help us reframe our perspective. The Stoics believed that fear is rooted in the unknown. It's not the solitude itself that scares us. It's the uncertainty of what it will feel like. Will we regret it? Will we lose touch with people? Will we feel forgotten? These are natural questions, but they're based on assumptions, not facts. Instead of fearing solitude, what if we saw it as an opportunity? Imagine having the freedom to focus entirely on yourself, your health, your passions, and your inner peace. Imagine waking up each day without the need to adjust to someone else's expectations. For the Stoics, this was a gift, a chance to cultivate strength, resilience, and wisdom. Now, I'm not saying the transition is easy. Moving from a life filled with constant interaction to one of solitude takes time. There will be moments of adjustment, maybe even discomfort. But those moments are where growth happens. When you're alone, you face your thoughts, your fears, and your doubts head-on. And in doing so, you come out stronger, more self-aware, and more grounded. Living alone doesn't mean cutting yourself off from the world. It doesn't mean you stop caring for others or that others stop caring for you. It simply means that you learn to find joy and fulfillment within yourself. And when you do connect with others, friends, family, or neighbors, it's because you want to, not because you have to. So, the next time the fear of being alone crosses your mind, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this fear coming from reality, or is it coming from a story I've created? Once you realize the difference, you'll start to see solitude not as something to fear, but as something to embrace. Number 2. The freedom of solitude. When you think about living alone, the first thing that might come to mind is loneliness. But in reality, living alone in old age isn't just about being by yourself. It's about the freedom it brings. Freedom to live on your terms, follow your own schedule, and truly focus on what makes you happy. Let's talk about why this kind of freedom is such a gift. When you live alone, you don't have to compromise. You're not tied down by anyone else's habits, routines, or preferences? Want to wake up at 6 a.m. to watch the sunrise? Go for it. Feel like staying up late to read a book or watch your favorite show? That's your choice. There's no one telling you what to do or when to do it. Every decision is yours. And that, my friends, is incredibly liberating. Think about it. How often in life have you had to make sacrifices for others? Maybe you spent years prioritizing your family, your spouse, or even your career. While those sacrifices are admirable, they often leave little room for you. Living alone gives you the opportunity to rediscover yourself and focus on what truly matters to you. Another amazing part of solitude is the gift of time. When you live with others, so much of your day can get caught up in shared responsibilities. Cooking for someone else, cleaning up after them, or simply navigating the demands of daily life together. But when you're on your own, that time is yours to claim. Imagine all the things you could do with that extra time. Maybe you've always wanted to try painting or learn how to play a musical instrument. Perhaps you'd like to spend more time gardening, writing, or simply enjoying the quiet moments that life offers. Living alone gives you that time, free from distractions, so you can dedicate it to the things you love. But it's not just about hobbies or activities, it's about having the space to think and reflect. The Stoics believed that reflection was essential for a meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, used his alone time to journal and explore his thoughts. He believed that solitude was the perfect environment to gain clarity, set intentions, and focus on self-improvement. Living alone also means you're in control of your surroundings. You get to design your space however you like. Maybe you prefer a minimalist home with just the essentials, or maybe you love filling your space with books, art, or memories from your life. Whatever your style, your home becomes a reflection of you, a sanctuary that brings you peace and comfort. This freedom extends to how you interact with the world. You're not tied down by anyone else's schedule or expectations. Want to take a spontaneous trip to visit an old friend or explore a new town? You can. Living alone gives you the flexibility to embrace opportunities as they come without having to consult or compromise with anyone else. So, here's the takeaway. Living alone isn't a limitation. It's a chance to embrace freedom in its purest form. It's about making choices that align with your values, spending your time intentionally, and creating a life that brings you joy and peace. This is the kind of freedom that can make your later years some of the most fulfilling of your life. When you embrace solitude, you don't just live, you thrive. And that's something truly beautiful. Number 3. Inner growth through solitude. Living alone is not just about having space. It's about discovering who you really are. For the Stoics, solitude was a chance to connect deeply with the self, a time to reflect, to grow, and to truly understand life. They believed that one of the greatest journeys you can take is the one inward. When you're alone, you're not distracted by the noise of the world. There's no pressure to conform, no constant interruptions pulling you in different directions. You have the time and space to listen to your own thoughts, and that's where true growth begins. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, used his alone time to write in his journal. Those writings, now known as meditations, are still teaching us about life centuries later. What he practiced was simple. He reflected on his actions, his thoughts, and his emotions. He asked himself, am I living according to my values? Am I in control of my reactions? This kind of self-reflection is powerful. It's like holding a mirror to your mind and heart. When you spend time alone, you can examine your life with clarity. You start to notice the things that are truly important, and you realize how much of what we worry about every day doesn't actually matter. But being alone doesn't just help you reflect, it builds resilience. Think about it. When you're on your own, you learn how to face challenges without relying on others to solve them for you. You become stronger, more self-reliant, and less afraid of life's uncertainties. The Stoics taught that adversity is a gift because it sharpens us, and living alone is its own kind of challenge, but one that leads to immense strength. Another gift of solitude is learning to control your emotions. When you're constantly surrounded by people, it's easy to get caught up in their energy. Their frustrations, their worries, their expectations, they can overwhelm you. But when you're alone, You're free to manage your emotions without outside influence. You can decide how you want to feel and how you want to respond to the world. Here's an exercise you can try, a Stoic exercise that has helped people for thousands of years. At the end of each day, sit quietly for 5 minutes and ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where could I have done better? Did I live according to my values? Write your answers in a journal just like Marcus Aurelius did. Over time, you'll notice patterns in your behavior. You'll see where you're growing and where you need to improve. It's a simple practice, but it can change the way you live. Living alone isn't a punishment. It's an opportunity. It's a chance to build a life that's deeply yours. It's a time to grow stronger, to reflect, and to embrace the person you've become. The Stoics believed that the key to happiness is living in harmony with yourself. And when you're alone, that harmony becomes much easier to find. Number 4, financial and emotional independence. Living alone in old age brings one of the most liberating aspects of life, independence. And I don't just mean the freedom to do what you want when you want. I'm talking about something much deeper, financial and emotional independence. Let's dive into how this works and why it's such a game changer, especially for those in their later years. First, let's talk about financial freedom. When you live alone, you're in complete control of your finances. You decide where your money goes and what you prioritize. No more arguments over spending habits or feeling the need to justify every decision. You get to build a life that fits your budget and values. For example, maybe you're someone who values experiences over material things. You might choose to spend your money traveling or enjoying hobbies that bring you joy. On the other hand, if saving is more your style, you can live simply, spend less, and feel secure knowing that you're financially prepared for whatever life throws at you. This ties beautifully into one of Stoicism's key principles, minimalism. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life." When you live alone, you can embrace this philosophy wholeheartedly. You learn to focus on what truly matters, cutting out unnecessary expenses and distractions. A smaller home, fewer possessions, and a simplified lifestyle can actually bring you more peace and clarity. And let's face it, in today's fast-paced world, simplicity is priceless. Now let's move on to emotional independence. This is something many people don't fully appreciate until they're on their own. When you live alone, you're no longer emotionally tied to the moods, decisions, or actions of others. You get to create your own emotional space, one that's calm, centered, and entirely your own. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you found yourself drained because of someone else's negativity or demands? Living alone allows you to step away from that and take control of your emotional well-being. You don't have to walk on eggshells or constantly accommodate others. Instead, you can focus on building your own inner peace. This doesn't mean cutting yourself off from people. Far from it. It simply means you're not reliant on others to feel good about yourself. The Stoics taught us to look inward for our happiness. Epictetus famously said, "Seek not the good in external things. Seek it in yourselves," and living alone gives you the perfect opportunity to do just that. Here's the beauty of emotional independence. It doesn't just benefit you. When you're emotionally grounded, you show up better in your relationships. You're more patient, understanding, and kind because you're no longer weighed down by unnecessary emotional baggage. By living alone, you become stronger. Not just for yourself, but for the people who matter most in your life. Living alone also gives you the time and space to work on self-improvement. Maybe you pick up a new hobby or learn a new skill. Maybe you take the time to reflect on your past and forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made. This kind of personal growth is hard to achieve when you're constantly surrounded by the noise of other people's lives. But in solitude, it becomes not just possible, but deeply fulfilling. Financial and emotional independence are powerful tools. They give you the freedom to live a life of purpose, clarity, and control. And that, my friends, is the kind of life worth striving for. Number 5, the power of relationships from a distance. Living alone in old age doesn't mean cutting ties with the people you love. In fact, it can be an opportunity to redefine your relationships and make them more meaningful. When you live by yourself, you're in control of how much time and energy you give to others. You're no longer obligated to deal with unnecessary conflicts or daily interactions that can drain you emotionally. Instead, you can focus on quality over quantity when it comes to relationships. Think about this. When you're constantly around people, it's easy to take them for granted. Small arguments can build up, and even the best relationships can become strained. But when you create distance, you give those connections a chance to breathe. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often spoke about maintaining harmony in relationships. He believed that sometimes the best way to keep peace with others is to step back and give them space. When you live alone, your relationships shift in a positive way. Instead of being caught up in daily frustrations, you can focus on enjoying the time you spend with others. A phone call with a friend or family member becomes something to look forward to. A visit feels special because it doesn't happen every day. And in those moments, you're more present and appreciative. You listen more deeply, and you value the time you're sharing. Living alone also gives you the power to set boundaries. This is something the Stoics believed was essential for a peaceful life. You can decide who you allow into your space and how much of your time you give to them. This isn't about being selfish, it's about protecting your mental and emotional well-being. When you have strong boundaries, you're less likely to feel overwhelmed or resentful, and your relationships naturally become healthier. For example, imagine a family member who always seems to bring drama into your life. When you live alone, you can choose how often you interact with them. You're not obligated to let their negativity invade your space. Instead, you can interact on your terms, maybe through a phone call instead of an in-person visit. This keeps the relationship intact while protecting your peace of mind. Distance also allows you to see relationships more clearly. When you're not constantly surrounded by others, you can reflect on who truly supports and respects you. You'll start to notice which connections uplift you and which ones drain you. This clarity helps you focus on the relationships that truly matter, making your interactions more fulfilling. Lastly, living alone doesn't mean being isolated. In today's world, it's easier than ever to stay connected from a distance. Video calls, emails, and even old-fashioned letters can help you maintain bonds with the people you care about. And when you do meet in person, those moments will feel even more special. So, living alone in old age isn't about cutting people out of your life. It's about creating space to nurture meaningful connections. By focusing on quality over quantity and setting healthy boundaries, you can enjoy relationships that bring you joy and peace, all while maintaining your independence. What could be better than that? Number 6. Practical tips for embracing solitude. Living alone in old age is often seen as a challenge, but in reality, it can be one of the most rewarding experiences of your life. Embracing this time of solitude offers you the chance to truly reconnect with yourself and live in a way that brings peace, purpose, and joy. However, to fully benefit from this stage of life, you need to approach it with intention and mindfulness. Here are some practical tips to help you make the most of living alone, creating an environment and lifestyle that brings you peace and fulfillment. First and foremost, creating a peaceful environment is essential. A cluttered or chaotic living space can lead to a cluttered mind, making it hard to relax and enjoy your own company. Take the time to declutter your space one room at a time. Start small, perhaps by organizing a drawer, clearing the kitchen counters, or rearranging the furniture. Adding simple elements like fresh flowers, plants, or calming artwork can transform your space into a sanctuary. A serene and organized environment can have a powerful impact on your mental well-being. When you live alone, the atmosphere you create directly influences how you feel in your own home, so make it a place that soothes and inspires you. Next, staying physically active is vital to living well in old age, especially when you live alone. You don't need to commit to intense workouts, but finding ways to move your body regularly can help you stay physically and mentally sharp. A simple walk around your neighborhood every day can work wonders for your mood and energy levels. Stretching or yoga can improve flexibility and reduce the risk of injury. Consider joining a fitness class or taking up a low-impact exercise like swimming or cycling. Even small activities like gardening or doing household chores count as physical movement. The key is consistency. Exercise helps release endorphins, natural mood boosters that will keep you feeling positive and energized. Learning something new is another wonderful way to embrace the solitude of living alone. One of the greatest benefits of this time is the ability to pursue your interests without distractions. Now is the perfect time to pick up a new hobby you've always been curious about. You could take up painting, photography, knitting, or learn a new language. The possibilities are endless. Learning keeps your mind engaged and challenges you to grow, which is crucial for maintaining cognitive health as you age. The sense of accomplishment when you master a new skill or finish a project can be incredibly fulfilling and give you a sense of purpose. Plus, with all the time and space at your disposal, you have the freedom to learn at your own pace without pressure or time constraints. In addition to learning new things, take time for quiet reflection. The Stoics believed that solitude is a powerful tool for self-discovery. When you're alone, you have the freedom to think deeply, without distractions, and connect with your inner self. Make time each day to sit in silence, whether that's through meditation, deep breathing, or journaling. Even just sitting by a window and watching the world go by can be a form of reflection. Ask yourself simple but profound questions. What am I grateful for today? Or how did I grow as a person this week? Reflecting on your experiences helps you process emotions and gain perspective on life. It also helps you align your actions with your values and become more intentional in the way you live. Social connections are still important, but when you live alone, you have the ability to choose the kind of relationships you want to nurture. Solitude allows you to evaluate the quality of your interactions, rather than just the quantity. Instead of having daily, routine conversations, you might choose to engage in deeper, more meaningful connections with friends and family. Set boundaries around your time to make sure that when you do socialize, it's with people who uplift you and bring you joy. Stoicism teaches us the importance of focusing on what we can control, and we have the power to choose how and with whom we spend our time. Finally, take care of your emotional well-being. Living alone gives you the space to process your emotions without external influences. It allows you to check in with yourself regularly, ensuring that you stay balanced and at peace. Embrace the idea that it's okay to feel lonely sometimes, but remember that being alone doesn't mean you have to be lonely. It's about finding comfort in your own company, learning to enjoy the stillness, and using it as an opportunity to grow. Embrace your solitude as a chance to become the best version of yourself. By following these practical tips, you can transform living alone into a deeply rewarding experience. Instead of seeing it as a time of loneliness or isolation, you'll come to view it as a time of growth, creativity, and inner peace. The Stoics understood that true contentment comes not from external circumstances, but from within. Living alone in old age is the perfect opportunity to rediscover yourself, nurture your passions, and live with purpose. When you embrace this time with intention, it becomes not just a phase of life but a gift. Living alone in old age isn't something to fear. It's not about being isolated or lonely. It's an opportunity to slow down, to really think about your life, and to live in a way that truly feels right for you. In fact, as we've seen, the Stoic philosophy teaches us that solitude can be a path to wisdom, growth, and inner peace. It's about embracing the freedom to live without the pressures of the world around you and to focus on what matters most: your own well-being and your relationships with the people you choose to keep close. Living alone allows you the time and space to reflect on your past, understand your true desires, and make decisions based on your values, not others' expectations. The peace that comes from solitude can lead to greater clarity and a deeper sense of purpose in the final stages of life. And when you're able to live with intention, you can enjoy your days in a way that's truly fulfilling. So, if you're ever faced with the idea of living alone in your later years, remember, it's not a sign of failure. It's a chance to create a life that's uniquely yours. With a Stoic mindset, this can be one of the most rewarding chapters of your journey. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with the benefits of living alone? Or do you have different ideas? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a conversation. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more valuable content like this. Thanks for watching and take care.